Hey guys, welcome to Crackplot. Today I'm going to be doing a book review, and the book I'm going to be talking about is Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy, written by John le Carré. I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing his name wrong, but it has a sort of a Frenchish spelling, and that's the best I could do. Now, getting into the book, first off, I really love the title Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy. It just has this amazing vibe to it, and it really grabs your interest. I really love Ian Fleming's James Bond titles, but after reading John le Carré, I can say he's a very good contender for having the best book titles. I mean, all of his books, The Spy Who Came In From the Cold, The Honorable Schoolboy, Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy, all of his titles are really good, and unlike Ian Fleming's titles, it actually has a correlation to the story, and after reading the book you understand why it was given that title. Now, getting into the plot of the book, the plot is really complex. I mean, really intricate and complicated, but the basic summary is this. The book is a spy novel set during the peak of the Cold War, and in this world, the London intelligence agency MI6 is codenamed Circus because it is located at Cambridge Circus, and the chief of Circus is a man known as Control. And Control has a suspicion that one of the top officers in Circus is a double agent who is a spy for Russia. He narrows down the list of the prospective suspects to 5 people and gives each of them a code name. Percy Allaline is Tinker, Bill Hayden is Tailor, Roy Bland is Soldier, Toby Esterhaz is Poor Man, and our hero George Smiley is given the code name Beggar Man. So now you understand why the book is named Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy. But before Control figures out who the actual double agent is, he dies due to a botched up mission, which is again another story and I don't want to get into it. But after his death, George Smiley, who is our hero, who is a fat man, who is physically incompetent, who is a loser in his personal life, his wife runs away with another man, he is a loner, he has almost no friends except his trusty sidekick, Peter Guillam, is called back from retirement to find out who the double agent working for Russia is. So the rest of the book follows George Smiley in his investigation to uncover this double agent working for Russia, and he is aided by his sidekick Peter Guillam, and that is a very simplified summary of this very intricate and complicated book. Now, this is not an easy book to read at all. I mean, this is not just some bedtime book that you can curl up with and relax. This book requires your full attention while reading it, and there are 3 reasons for that. The first reason is the language. This book came out during 1974, I think, so the words and the language is really difficult for somebody from our generation to understand or read easily. I read this book in my Kindle, so I could easily look up the meanings of any new word I came across. But if you are reading this in a paperback or a hardcover, you are going to have to sit along with a dictionary while reading this book. The second reason is the way this story is told. I am a fan of Christopher Nolan and I really love non-linear screenplays, but I think this is one of the first books to have a non-linear screenplay. The story jumps from the past to the present to the past again to the flashback of a character. I mean, it goes all over the place and you really have to focus and keep track of what all is happening so that you understand the investigation as you go along with it. The third reason, which is also a reason why this book is very unique, is John le Carré's writing style. He is, I think, the only author I came across who doesn't want to explain anything to his readers. John le Carré was actually a spy who worked for British intelligence, so he knows what actually happens, how the people talk, what all of the jargon is, and he uses all of the jargon in the book while 2 characters are talking, and he really doesn't explain what a word might mean. For example, a word called chicken feed. Now I know what chicken feed means in the world of spycraft, but while reading the book you just have to assume its meaning according to the context of the dialogue and you just have to assume that your assumption is right and go along with it. And there are many such words that are typical to the world of spycraft, but we don't know anything about it and we just have to guess its meaning. He not only is reluctant in explaining the jargon, but he's reluctant in explaining the plot itself. And I mean that in a good way. We are presented with all of the information George Smiley uncovers during his investigation, and we are told how one piece of information is linked to another, but in the end it is up to the reader to put it all together and to paint a picture of what might have happened. That is something which is really rare in a creator, because usually we are spoon-feeded and the plot is really dumbed down to make sure everybody understands. But John le Carré is really confident that we can understand what is happening, and I respect him for that because he respects the reader's intelligence. Now, coming to my opinion on the book, I really loved this book. I mean, that might sound strange after everything I've just said, but the main strength of this book, which is the strength of any John le Carré book, is the ambience and the atmosphere it creates. I have read another John le Carré novel called The Spy Who Came In From the Cold, and after finishing that book, I was depressed for 2 days. I mean, the atmosphere and the vibe of the book is just so haunting. It grabs you by the throat and it doesn't let you go at all. Now, let's just say you've read 5 to 6 chapters of this book and you stopped reading this book for a week or 2 weeks. You'll still be thinking about what happened in the book and the world of the book, which is something that happened to me. Even the pace of the book is really interesting. It is not fast paced. It does not even have a single action scene. Most of the book is George Smiley reading files and documents, and it is not even slow paced. The book is creepily paced, if that makes sense. It is just this haunting story, the vibe of all of these double crosses, people lying to each other, backstabbings. This really dirty, realistic, authentic world that John le Carré creates is the main strength of this book that keeps you hooked. And most of that authenticity comes from John le Carré being an actual spy. He knows what all they did, he knows what all they had to do during that Cold War, how dirty it got for them, how disgusting the life of a spy actually is. I mean, he really writes the life of a spy almost with disgust. I mean, it feels like he hates his job almost, but the only thing keeping him going or keeping any of the characters in the book going is the love for their motherland and the patriotism towards their country. Coming from a generation where spy stories are Mission Impossible, James Bond, these fantastical, action-packed, gadget-filled adventures, to this really authentic, realistic spy drama where it is more about playing with the psyche than, fighting with their hands or arms or shootouts or whatever. And even the protagonist, George Smiley, as I told you, is a very different spy hero. He is not this suave, stylish, fit hero like James Bond. He is this really, as I told you, fat, mild-mannered, slow. He can't run. He starts sweating even after walking a few steps. He's a loser in his personal life, but he's this really intelligent master spy who's really good at his work. He has a lot of experience in the field of spycraft, and that makes him a really different spy hero. And another thing I really have to mention about this book is the villain of this book, Carla, who is a Russian spy master who is operating this double agent in British intelligence. He appears in the book only once, and that is when George Smiley recounts his experience of meeting Carla in the past. And even in that chapter, I don't think he even has a single line. But you can feel the presence of this genius mastermind, intelligent, cunning person pulling all the strings, sort of this invisible puppet master who is controlling everything throughout the book. It is really amazing how John le Carré was able to achieve the presence of a character without him appearing for a majority of the book. And you really feel the heat between George Smiley and Carla, even though they do not meet at all when the story is actually happening. There are two other books which continue the story of the fight between George Smiley and Carla, called The Honorable Schoolboy and Smiley's People. I am currently reading The Honorable Schoolboy, and I'll probably do another review after I finish all three of the books which describe the face-off between George Smiley and Carla. There is even a film adaptation of Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy starring Gary Oldman. I couldn't find it streaming anywhere in India, but if you can find it, please do watch it. Apparently, it's a really good film. So do read Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy if you want a refreshing, realistic, authentic, dirty, haunting, complicated spy story. But keep in mind that this is not a comfortable summer read. That's my review for Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy. Thank you for tuning in. See you next time.